Woo, woo. Oh, hello.
Hey.
Welcome in to the newest show at PHNX.
I shouldn't dance on this show.
I think you should. I think this is the show for dancing.
We encourage dancing.
It's a fantasy sports show presented by Underdog Fantasy here at PHNX. We're just getting started. We're kicking off, if you will. Will you?
I will. Yeah, why
Cool.
not?
Fantastic. This is just,
If you'll have me.
it's going to be, emphasis on the fantasy, I say. Because I think we're going to have a lot more fun than most fantasy shows.
Shane, what's your fantasy? I'm sure it was sitting with me and Shawn. I'm sure.
Well, yeah. Let's just get into our first topic then. Well, obviously, probably one of the craziest week ones I can remember. I think there was a lot of parity, more parity than people think. I think the bad teams are better than people thought, and I think the great teams, I think there's 2 or 3 really good teams in the NFL, and everyone else is about the same. Shawn beat me in fantasy this week, Bo says, and I don't feel like my sons respect me any longer. That will happen.
Yeah.
That will happen.
He
I
shouldn't
have that effect on
respect you.
people.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Totri does not respect you.
So
Thank you.
Well, so I do just want to preface, we are all in a fantasy league together, the PHNX Fantasy League, and I think I'm going to kick everybody's ass.
I mean, I scored more points than anyone else in the league this week, so it's an interesting take based off week 1, but you're entitled to your wrong opinion.
I'm 1-0. I'm not going to talk trash because I don't think I'm that good. But can I share a story real quick?
Why not?
Max, our sales guy, thought he was being a smart ass and walked in with aloe lotion for me at the beginning of the week saying, just for the burn you're going to take in fantasy.
Oh,
Suck it. You lost, buddy.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Max.
Our very own Max, the same guy who made the same haircut joke twice in front of me. the typical dad joke. I got a couple cut, not just one. All right, well, let's talk week 1. Let's talk about some of the upsets. Obviously, last night probably being the weirdest game. The Broncos fumbling twice at the 1-yard line. Sorry, DMVR. Sorry, Michaela behind the camera right now. Did anybody see this coming?
I mean, I wasn't surprised that Geno was good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he ever got like a fair.
Great game manager.
Yeah, I don't think he ever really got a good opportunity yet, and he's finally getting one.
Oh.
I am surprised that Hackett and just the Broncos just pissed that away the way they did.
Well,
Then go walk somewhere else, Matt.
How many people had Russell Wilson and needed points, and they pull him on that 4th down after they call the timeout?
Yeah.
Like, that had to be excruciating for certain people, not just Broncos fans.
Yeah, it was probably one of the weirdest games. And as I said, one of the weirdest week 1s. So speaking of weirdness, surprises. Did anybody surprise you from a fantasy standpoint? Any player overperformer, underperform in your guys' eyes?
Underperformer, a handful of people, but CeeDee Lamb was one of them. I expected him to.
That whole offense is just, I mean, now it's completely done. But
yeah, there was
a quote that the Buccaneers, I forget who, I think it was Devin White, the Buccaneers linebacker, said, "Yeah, we were completely prepared for what they did because we watched their film from last year."
Yikes. On a positive side, Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
He was back. I drafted him. I thought he was going to be good. I didn't expect him to be 2 touchdown, perform the way he did.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take it.
I don't know that a kicker can be surprising.
Oh, yes, they can.
But Matt Prater got like 1 point in my league. 1 freaking point. Like, that's in our league. That was surprising to me. Last year, you could pencil him in for a decent day for you. But Jarvis Landry on the good side. I mean, had a great game for New Orleans. Of course, he was sitting on my bench, but he had a great game for New Orleans, and he's a guy that I think could pay dividends for people to pick him up.
Devin Blackwell in the chat saying Cam Akers fuming. I have a tier list of running backs in the NFL. It's like superstars, good, okay, and then the Cam Akers. And Cam Akers, and the Cam Akers isn't the worst tier. It's like, and then it goes bad. Cam Akers, obviously.
Yeah.
David Montgomery is a Cam Akers. Do you guys have any Cam Akers?
Devin Singletary is kind of a Cam Akers.
Devin Singletary is definitely a Cam Akers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any. I think you covered it pretty well in your ranking. It's that frustrating guy there. You know?
It's the worst. Yeah. Mine was Derrick Henry. I know everyone says 29-year-old running back. I don't think this is kind of what we're going to see for the rest of the year, but only 10 points in PPR formats. That was kind of scary. I really liked what I saw from Washington's offense, though. I think Carson Wentz might be a sneaky good quarterback in fantasy this year. Jahan Dotson had a good week. Antonio Gibson had a good week. Curtis Samuel looks like himself.
Hold on, are you really going to throw out years of what we learned about Carson Wentz?
I don't
Or
believe
what
in
we know
Carson
about the
Trust him in
Washington football
Washington?
franchise.
I said nothing about him winning games. I think he can score you a lot of points in fantasy. And then my two running backs that I have talked endlessly about, Travis Etienne and Damian Pierce, both not looking great week one. James Robinson has the best injury staff in the world, apparently, because he tore his Achilles at the end of last year and he looked fantastic week one. And Rex Burkhead is taking reps from Damian Pierce, which what are we doing? It is 2022.
It's 1 week out of 17. Like, pump the brakes. I don't think we have to panic yet. I think you'll be all right. I think you guys will do just fine.
All right. Joe's mentioning Justin Jefferson. Yeah, my God, that offense just scores a lot of damn points. Kirk Cousins is my quarterback in this fantasy league. So we're going to get into our fantasy suites, our favorite player from this week on your team. Espo, we'll start with you. Who is your favorite player?
Jared Allen. I mean, it didn't start the way that you wanted it, but he took care of business. He wound up in our league with 49 points for me.
The center?
Josh
Allen?
Did I say Jared Allen?
Allen?
I'm so basketball. Yes, Jared Allen. No, Josh Allen.
He'd be a great tight end.
It's been one of those days, boys. All right, I'm lucky I'm sitting up straight. Josh Allen, yes, the great quarterback from Buffalo. So,
Saquon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's good to see him back, is it not?
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, I drafted him and I thought he was going to be good, but I didn't. Same with Michael Thomas. Like, I just wasn't sure exactly what I was going to get out of him. I got more than I was expecting.
Look,
for sure.
Daniel S. Dimes, I don't know what his middle name is, but that's what his name is now. Daniel S. Dimes is not a good quarterback, and he's going to be a good He's going to have longevity as a backup.
He'll be a good backup.
He'll be a good backup. In the NFL after this year. I think he's done after this year as a starter.
You're talking NFL?
Yeah.
Oh.
You think he's going to be the backup for the Argonauts?
XFL, something like that, yeah.
Okay.
His full name is Daniel Stephen Jones III.
It is S.
It is S.
Wow.
Look at you.
Daniel S. Dimes. Yeah. Not great. That offense is not good. The defense is even worse, but that kind of bodes well for Saquon and this Giants offense because they're going to be on the field so much. He's going to get
healthy.
Crazy amount of targets as long as he stays healthy. The explosiveness, I think, is fully back. His speed, his top speed is fully back. I mean, he looked great. What do you have, like 160 yards rushing? Something ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds
like that.
about right. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think it was 167.
He had 164 with a rush touchdown and then had 30 receiving yards.
Yeah.
Only like 18 carries too.
Yeah, he was great. My favorite player for my team, just as Aaron Lee said, is Travis Kelsey. I got him as a steal in our draft. I think I got him in the third round in a 12-person league.
Wild.
So love that. 31 points in PPR formats. He's going to be good for this.
Look at some of the people in our league.
Yeah, true.
It made sense in our league.
True. Kelsey's one of those guys that, I think the tight end position scares a lot of people. They don't want to reach for tight ends because they're tight ends, but there's three tight ends, I believe, in the NFL that are wide receiver ones. Kyle Pitts, Travis Kelsey, and Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in go tight end early. Go the positions that there aren't a lot of guys that can get you big points and go there early because then you have a decided advantage against your opponents. That's my belief.
Available.
Yeah.
Always the mentality. Well, guys, obviously our show is brought to you by the Underdog Fantasy app. And if you guys haven't downloaded yet, make sure you do so. It has added a lot of fun to not just watching sports, but also predicting how they're going to end up because you can hate bet against your least favorite players, which is one of my favorite things to do. I always do it. Love taking over-unders, but especially with the pick'em games because you can get up to 20 times your odds. I know, Espo, you've had some success.
Oh, I had a lot of success. So much success that I have, for the first time ever in my life, air chest bumped another man because we had such success.
That's the first time you've ever done.
First time.
Me and Shawn literally just shoulder bumped.
Well, usually I don't get off the ground.
Yeah,
is what I'm talking about here. I won $500 on a $25 pick'em. 5 pitchers to hit the under. Max, our sales guy. We've been doing that with pitching. We pick guys 95 pitches or more and bet the under on it, and it's been great.
Yeah, all I'm saying is I deposited $50 into my account and I have $222 sitting in it right now. So
love to see it. You can do that as well, but not only do they have pick'ems, they also have drafts.
Yeah,
daily fantasy drafts, weekly, even season long stuff. It's just such a blast when you're doing it. And if you're going to the Cardinals game, like picking Cardinals players to not only root for your team to score, but also for your fantasy team to score, just makes it so much more fun. As I said, those short attention span people out there, it's daily, so you can do it. I like doing the MLB one. Sometimes it's just one game, which we did, and we'll show you in a little bit. But it's just the best, and you can search in the App Store right now or click the link in the show notes. Sign up with the promo code PHNX, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code PHNX, and get in on some action today. All right. So we did a draft, as I mentioned. This is for the Thursday night game between the Chargers and the Chiefs. So it's a 3-person draft. Each person drafts 4 players, and it's a half PPR format. Whoever comes out on top wins the money that we all put in. And so we'll get into our teams right now. I had the second pick. Espo had the first. Shawn had the third. Snake format, so don't judge us. These are projected totals on the bottom. Espo, what was your reasoning with your first 4?
Well, first off, in the snake format, I get the benefit of the first pick, but obviously you kind of have the back end here. But I like Kelsey. I mean, that was the obvious number 1 pick, despite people trying to convince me otherwise while we were sitting in there. And I took a flyer on a guy like a Sony Michel on the last pick there. I know my projected points don't show it, but I'm a big boomer bust guy.
Yeah,
I like to take things based on gut and instinct, and that's how I went in this draft. So,
Shawn?
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar spot. Like Mike Will last week didn't do anything, but it seems like he should. So that's what I took him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 2 touchdowns last week. He balled out. So to get him with the 4th overall pick was good. Nicole Hartman is another one like Mike Will, where he didn't do a whole lot last week, but I feel like he has the potential to go off in any given week. I feel like any receiver in the Chiefs offense has that possibility. And then Gerald Everett was just kind of a who's left pick, to be honest. But he's projected 8 or he's projected 7.
He got more targets than I thought last week.
Yeah, he had a touchdown. So it's another one of those things where it's like, hey, you don't know what's possible. Maybe you can do it again.
Chris in the chat saying, I thought he just called himself a boomer. Espo, would you call yourself a boomer?
Oh, in this group? Yeah. This feels like I'm sitting here with my 2 sons talking about fantasy. Yeah, I actually probably am. I'm close to being old enough to be your dad. So.
Well, you might be old enough to be my dad, but I'm going to be your guys' father this week because my team is so much better than yours, and it's because Keenan Allen likely not going to play. He is listed as doubtful. I went in with Eckler as the second pick overall. Then I got Juju, and then the 2 receivers who should be able to step up, DeAndre Carter slotting into a high target share, and Joshua Palmer as well. Both Chargers players that should get a lot more targets, projected 39.2. Hoping to bring back the dub.
Did you guys have any difficulty kind of gauging Chiefs players? Because we know the Cardinals defense. It's unimpressive to say the least. So how much could we believe in what we saw in week 1 with these guys? I
think this offense is supremely underrated in the eyes of the public. Just like you lose, Tyreek Hill is a buzzword now. Losing Tyreek Hill in an offense, it's probably the most dynamic player in the NFL, but you still have Travis Kelsey. You still have I think the most talented quarterback in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes, and your defense is okay, which means they'll be on the field a lot. I mean, they just score so fast, and especially receiver-wise, and even running backs do this. Patrick Mahomes doesn't hand the ball off when they're inside the 5. He loves these 1-yard touchdowns. Yeah. So there's a lot of points to be had from fantasy perspective in this offense. And I think it's the second best offense in the NFL.
And like Juju's not a bad receiver. He's
a good receiver.
He had a man with basically no arm throwing him the ball for the last couple of years. And Patrick Mahomes is like Tom Brady in the sense that he can turn just about anybody into a good wide receiver, I think. So I'm not too concerned about them losing Tyreek. And then obviously Travis Kelsey's still the best tight end.
We put in the chat the poll for who you guys think is going to come out on top. So make sure to go ahead and vote in that.
I'm used to finishing dead last in these kind of polls. So I expect it to happen.
All right. Well, obviously week 2 starting up in just a few days. Joe's saying y'all locked Totri out of the studio or what? We've tried. He's just so small. He can sneak around.
He scaled the building last time and just.
It actually looks like you're doing the Sun Devil show with a guy that ate Totri. That's how this looks.
Oh my God, the self-deprecation does not leave when it comes to this show. Oh man, Jamal Adams. That hurt last night. Jamal Adams probably out for the rest of the year. It sounds like after a serious quad injury in that game. But some players went down. Some players' stock went up. Week 2 starting soon. Who do you guys like as your favorite waiver wire pickup of the week? We'll throw the graphic up. Espo, we'll start with you.
I like Marcus Mariota if you're somebody sitting there that had Dak Prescott and all your hopes on Dak Prescott. I've always liked what Marcus Mariota brings to the table. And I think in Atlanta, obviously a young group, I think he'll score fantasy points. He's not going to win a lot of games, but he's going to score fantasy points there. So if you're in desperation mode for a quarterback, I'd look for Mariota.
Yeah, Jeff Wilson Jr., Elijah Mitchell's out for a while now. It's just one of those things where starting running back goes down, you take it back up.
Yeah. Niners are just a carousel of running backs anyway. Don't pay your running backs, guys. Speaking of running backs, and speaking of a guy who shouldn't be getting paid, and shouldn't be getting carries, but he still is, Rex Burkhead. I didn't think he was going to be a problem. Damian Pierce, obviously, named the starting running back week 1. Thought he was going to get a ton of carries, and he got an okay amount, but not in routes. Rex Burkhead ran 25 routes. Damn. You know how many Damian Pierce won?
3.
5.
Damn. 5
routes. This man can be a PPR nightmare. He's available in most leagues. I would go see if Rex Burkhead is on your waiver wire. I know it's not the most appealing name. And he's not the most appealing looking man, but trust me.
Elijah Mitchell could be somebody. There's a lot of people in the need of a running back right now.
Yeah.
Can you guys help me? I have a unique situation.
Oh, boy.
It's in our league, so you might not want to help me, but I'll ask. Anyways, I had TJ Watt. Dropped 15 points for me.
We do have IDPs, yeah.
And now I'm, and I took him relatively early in our draft because, I like taking guys that in positions that, are give you an advantage here. I don't know what to do now with him out.
Well, let's just go ahead and look in our league. Do you have any idea of anyone you would want to pick up, Shawn? Because when I went through it, I just went with the most tackles from last year, and that was Jordan Brooks. He was the second leading leaguer, or second in tackles in the league last year.
Behind Foye Oluokun, who I drafted. I don't know. I mean, Gruger Hill, I don't even know how to say his last name, linebacker from Texans, is the top projected. He had the most tackles of anyone available. He had the most tackles last week.
Do you guys like having a linebacker on your team?
I hate it.
I do too.
It's different.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Usually what I would do in past leagues, I wouldn't invest high in it, and I would just rotate guys each week, whoever's projected to go highest. And I think I'm going to have to go back to that.
That brings me to this question. This is my whole theory with defenses. I never draft a defense until I have to on the last pick, because what I do is I just rotate them each week. Do you guys think it's worth taking one of the top 5 defenses?
I like to do what you're talking about, play the matchup more than play the specific defense.
Yeah, if I can get basically like the Bills defense, then I'm going to take them like in the draft. But I think not even the top 5. Like if you get outside of the top 2 or 3, then I'm rotating. I had that mentality with the Packers defense. I drafted them in a couple of leagues, and not looking great after week 1. They got me 1 point in our league. So I may be in that situation where I'm going to start rotating.
Yeah. All right. Before we get into the questions, and please chat, some people asked on Twitter some questions we'll be answering at the end of the show. But if you guys have any questions and you're watching live, comment them and we'll get to them at the end of the show. These are some starters. These are some guys that probably aren't available on your waiver wires. But if the first man that I'm going to talk about is, definitely grab him. We'll throw up the targets per route graphic. So Julio Jones, who a lot of people gave up on, a lot of leagues don't have him drafted. I would assume he's going to be picked up this week. If he is not picked up in your league, I would pick him up. Chris Godwin obviously going down again. Don't know how long he's going to be out. Has that been announced yet? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how serious the injury is. Regardless, even when Chris Godwin was healthy, Julio Jones was targeted on 23% of his routes in that game by Tom Brady. If you have, and that's not 23% of the time that's 23% of every time he ran a route, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Another guy who was really high on before the year started, Lions receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, 33% of his routes. Again, not available, but if you're worried about his week 1 performance, you shouldn't be. The man is going to have a monster year. And then this is a guy who I was really high on at the start of the year, Mr. Kyle Pitts. I think he has the opportunity to be a top 10 fantasy receiver this year, even though he's a tight end. I love him so much. He did not have a great week last week.
He had
only
bad
2
week,
receptions.
so, yeah.
But do not panic. I promise, guys. 25% of his routes he was targeted. He's going to be a huge part of that offense. All of these stats are courtesy of Dalton_Cates on Twitter. Make sure to give him a follow. We're going to have him on the show soon. It's a fantastic fantasy football mind. So shout out him. Want to give a shout out to him and give him a follow on Twitter. Anyone else that you saw this week that didn't perform well, but everything should be okay? Specifically on your guys' team?
On my team, everyone on my team kind of balled out, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not gonna. I mean, like DJ Moore, he only gave me 8 points. I'm not putting too much stock into that game because we all know Baker was playing with a lot of emotion, and Baker doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that knows how to channel that emotion. So once they get out of a situation where they're not playing his former team, I think he can be more productive, and thus DJ Moore can be more productive. But otherwise, everyone, and then the Packers defense. I don't think a lot of people were giving enough respect to the Vikings. Like, I think the Vikings are going to be a good team and probably win that division. And so, like, the Packers only giving me 1 point in fantasy this week. I'll be patient.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zach Ertz was underwhelming for me. I mean, he finished with 2 catches on 4 targets for 14 yards. The saving grace was the touchdown and the 2-point conversion that he caught, but I expect that to straighten itself out.
You also live or die with Zach Ertz in the end zone. He almost needs a touchdown a game to be a super productive receiver. But yeah, he did get a fair share of targets last year. Hopefully that stays the same this year. They're going to need him, man. And we'll see if Trey McBride starts to take some of those snaps too.
He wasn't even active in game 1. So
we'll see. All right, last segment before we get to the questions. Rapid fire, talking about some receivers and some explosive week ones. Are you buying or selling? We'll start with Devin Duvernay. 17 points, 2 touchdowns. Buying or selling?
Selling. I mean, we talked before, like during the drafts and stuff like that, about Rashad Bateman. I think he's still going to be the guy there. And it's just one of those things where it's like a guy just kind of happened to get targeted twice and had 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
It's not enough for me to be like, you need to have this guy in your team quite yet. If he does it again, maybe it'll change my mind, but I'm not ready to buy on that yet.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, so.
Yeah. This is a guy that I think a lot of people are going to look at in a rush. They'll pick him up, but when you start to see, I think he was targeted 4 or 5 times in the game. That's it, and 2 of them haven't been touchdowns. So, yeah, selling him as well. Buying or selling Robbie Anderson?
Selling again. Mainly because I have DJ Moore on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
But as much as I think that Baker can be more consistent, I'm not going to bet on him being more consistent. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to get a receiver from the Panthers after what I saw from last week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of boom or bust for Panthers receivers. So I'm in sell there. I've liked Robbie, but I just don't see it as it's more on the quarterbacks necessarily than the receiver.
11 points in week 1. Familiar name for Cardinals fans. Christian Kirk. Buying or selling?
Buy. Also have him on my fantasy team. I like, kind of like you said earlier, I think a lot of people, like, the bad teams aren't necessarily as bad as people thought they were going to be. The Jags don't have Urban anymore. Trevor Lawrence is a year more experienced, and he's the guy there. Like, not that I think the Jags are going to be a good team, but I think Christian Kirk is going to have a productive year, and part of me is just saying that because, again, I have him on my team.
I struggle with Christian Kirk, having watched him here. Like, he always felt the guy that you were waiting to break out, be that guy, and now he's in a situation where he's expected to be the number 1, but they're a bad team. I think I'm going to sell it just based on previous track record.
They're a bad team with a good quarterback, though.
Are we sure?
That's better than
Are we
Kyler.
Sure that he's a good quarterback?
I think so.
All right.
I believe in him.
Last one. Now a Cardinal. Not many expected him to do much this year, but he's going to have to. Greg Dortch, are we buying or selling?
I'm buying. When you look at Kyler Murray and how much he went to him in game 1, I think you're going to see. You don't have to like it. I like taking big swings. This is a big swing, and you win a league or you lose a league with your waiver wire. I think that's a chance to take.
I'm selling. I just don't like the Cardinals offense or really anything about this Cardinals team. So I like James Conner. And I mean, tight ends in the NFL aren't that deep, so obviously someone's going to end up with Zach Ertz. But if your name's not DeAndre Hopkins, I really don't have any interest in you as a Cardinal, to be honest.
I'm renting.
Fair, yeah.
Renting Dortch. I think, I mean, 9 targets in that game. I know there wasn't a lot going on, but 7 receptions, 63 yards. Like, I think, and he looked good.
Back?
Yeah. I think he looked good. Buying for PPR, yes, Aaron. All right. Well, let's get into some questions. We'll get to the chat ones later, but if you still have a question, make sure to drop it in the chat. We'll go with question 1 from the Twitter. PHX Fooney says, Robbie Anderson, Jahan Dotson, or Damian Pierce for my flex. Guys.
Well, I'm not going to say Robbie Anderson because I just sold on him. Jahan, I guess. I don't know. I'm not like really confident in either of those, to be honest.
I know I said sell on Robbie, but I out of that group, I probably lean that way.
I'm definitely saying Jahan Dotson. They got the Lions next week. I think he proved that he's more than capable of being a consistently targeted guy. The Lions obviously gave up a ton of yards to the Eagles last week. I think Dotson's that guy. I'm going to start Damian Pierce in my leagues just because Damian Pierce is my guy and he's my RB2 in most leagues. But that's just false confidence. I think that's just me hoping that he's going to start getting going. But if I had another option, Jahan Dotson is probably the guy in that one. All right, let's go to the next question. Mary Rawlings asked, Rodgers or Hurts?
It's Jalen Hurts. Yeah.
Yeah?
They don't have anyone to throw to. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers had receivers dropping wide open passes. I'm not going to trust him because I can't trust his receivers. Jalen is magical, and he has a tremendous offense. I think Jalen is the only thing that stands in the way of that offense, to be honest. But
so you're going to pick him?
No, I'm saying what I mean is I think that's the best offense in football if Jalen is playing at his peak.
I'm a huge Jalen Hurts guy, but there's definitely arguments for both.
Again, Jalen's on my fantasy team.
Jalen Hurts
well, there we go.
playing Monday night against the Vikings. That game is going to have a lot of points. I don't like the Vikings secondary. I don't think they can contain them, but I also think the Vikings score quick as well. Take the over in that game if you're going to be betting. But I love Jalen Hurts, but also Aaron Rodgers is playing his 52 sons, the Chicago Bears.
Fair.
The man just goes crazy against the Bears. He has like a weird amount of rushing touchdowns against them. This is a toss-up. Just because it's Monday Night Football, I would go with Jalen Hurts. That's the only reason why. Otherwise, it's a complete coin flip for me.
Look, I'm going to trust the MVP, at least in football, not on anything else. But I'll trust him on the football field. Give me Aaron Rodgers here, especially against the Bears. I mean, you make the excellent point that he owns them, so you might as well play him.
I'm immunized to the Aaron Rodgers hype.
But all right, I think our third question is from our producer extraordinaire, Jacob Franklin, saying, I have Dak. Where do I go from here?
Help me.
I already told you, Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
No.
Why?
I just don't trust that offense.
You can't. You're picking from a group of guys who weren't drafted. You're going to have to take somebody you may not
Carson
trust.
Wentz or Marcus Mariota.
Let's look and see who's available in our league.
So I'm looking right now. We got base projected Mariota, Mitch Trubisky, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, and Tua Tagovailoa. And then
he is available.
Cooper Rush and Geno Smith also available.
Okay. Let's.
I'm just saying. You're not in on the Geno Smith or Cooper Rush?
I like Carson Wentz. I'm telling you. I think he's going to score a lot.
Carson Wentz is back,
especially this week. Maybe
Carson Wentz is back.
Maybe a revolving door. Also, a guy you didn't mention, Mr. Daniel S. Dimes.
Stop it.
Daniel S. Dimes playing Carolina this week. I think Carson Wentz is the ad against Detroit. I think that's the player this week.
Answer is Mitchell Trubisky.
Really?
Yeah, I'm in on Mitchell Trubisky. Since before he became a Steeler, I thought he was going to end up being a good starter again. I think he's similar to Geno in that he's never really gotten an opportunity to be a good quarterback. Like, he hasn't been put in a situation where he's been able to succeed. I think he kind of has that now. I am in on this. Pat Fryer. I like Pat Fryermuth. I like Chase Claypool. Like, I'm in on the Steelers skill players.
For me, it depends. Is your strategy that you're looking for a guy to just hold the fort the entire time, or are you going rotating door? Because that changes for me. Like,
I think the plan for everybody except for Jacob, I think we all pick up every single quarterback.
Just screw him.
Yeah.
I'm not in your league.
Let's kick Jacob out of the league.
Oh yeah,
we are.
I'm not in your
you
league.
weren't man enough to be in our league. That's right.
I think Mariota's the move, unless Carson Wentz is available. All right, next question. I think this one is from Mac. Keep Gallup or drop him?
Keep him, put him in your IR slot. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
If you don't have an IR slot, and that's why she's asking, though, I still keep him.
Yeah.
I mean, hold on now. Who's going to be throwing to him?
When he comes back, Dak will probably be back, right? You're looking.
Yeah, but not 100% Dak.
There's a lot of timelines on Dak right now.
Yeah.
It's anywhere between 8 weeks to 4.
I mean, it really depends on who you have on your other receivers.
We need more context, Michaela.
Yeah. In theory, I say keep him.
Yeah.
I think the upside, especially once.
Yeah, I would never say just drop him. I was a big fan of him last year.
Yeah, same.
You know who you should accidentally drop? Cortland Sutton.
I did pick him up after he accidentally dropped him.
Bad.
All right, I think we have one question from the chat before we get out of here. Chris in the chat asking, Keenan Allen is probably out for week 2. I have Allen. Okay, I can't read it. Can you go back down?
Allen Robinson.
I have Allen
Smith.
Robinson, Devontae Smith, and Elijah Moore on my bench. Who's the best option to replace Keenan this week? As I said, I think there's going to be a lot of points in that Eagles game. I wouldn't start Allen Robinson until you can see that Matt Stafford likes Allen Robinson.
Or
because,
has a functioning arm.
Yeah, or has a functioning arm. But I'm also really high on Elijah Moore. I would say Devontae Smith.
Yeah,
is
that's where I was going.
Option.
Just, again, I really like Jalen. I really like that offense. I think there's so many weapons on that offense that someone is going to break out in that offense and going to have a good game. I don't see why I can't be Devonta.
Yeah, I'm there with you guys on that one.
Yeah, Devontae Smith probably the safest option for that. But Elijah Moore's a good flyer. Good to have on your bench just in case. I think he's going to start seeing a lot more points. Guys, anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, who won the poll?
Oh, yeah.
I need to know how badly I lost.
The poll, it was Shane at 42% as your winner.
Come on,
What were
now.
the other percentages?
Sean at 33, Espo at 25.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I'll take that.
That's all right.
I'll take that. I understand that. I think Shane does have the best team. Like that's if you get the first pick in that draft, like if you get
I didn't get the first pick.
I had the first pick.
You had
And
the
I
first
finished
if you don't get the third
44.
pick, basically.
All right. Well, fun first show.
Yeah.
As I said,
Fantasy's so much fun,
emphasis on the fantasy. We'll probably have some games for you guys next week.
Oh, no, we will.
Yeah. But what did Geno Smith once say once upon a time?
They try to write me off. I ain't right back.
We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks.